Now, your job is definitely part teacher to show the other side is there. And you say that it's our job to cultivate those relationships, that we don't actually need you. That is so wild. Is that true? Like we can
That's
really tap
100%
into our spirit guides?
100% true. We all have these abilities. I think we just have learned as we were growing up and starting formal schooling to retrain the areas of our brain that we're using and to
Wow.
deny our abilities. There's unseen energy going on around us at all times, and we are all intuitive. We are all psychics, and we are all mediums. We just don't own that gift about ourselves. And that's where I
Right.
like to come in and remind us that it's there for each person, and nobody needs to go to a psychic medium to access it. We all have it.
So I was thinking about all of your books because The Light Between Us was definitely geared toward people who have lost children or pets. It was so gorgeous. And I think that Signs was more of like a workshop or tool book. What is Guides?
Yeah, so I love that you recognize that about the book so far. The Light Between Us, I feel, I was a high school English teacher for almost 20 years, and I feel that my team of light was actually training me in a classroom to understand how to fully teach this to the
Oh,
world.
wow.
Right. So I think one of the things you do as a teacher is you model what's possible for students. And then you say, now you try it and you see if that becomes your truth. And so I think The
Right.
Light Between Us was really about my journey into understanding these abilities that I have. And in doing that,
Mhm.
understanding they belong to all of us and kind of modeling what was possible and showing the beautiful lessons I had learned along the way. Signs is like, enough about me. This is about you. Here's how you can learn to create a language with your team of light on the other side. And for me, a team of light is 3 parts. Each person has it. It's God energy, which is this force of love that's part of us and guides us daily. And then there's spirit guides, with which throughout time and history, different religions will refer to as guardian angels. It's this concept of an advanced angelic realm that guides us. We each have spirit guides, very unique individuals, nobody we knew this lifetime. And then the third part of our team of light is our loved ones who have crossed, who guide us, and our pets who have crossed, and also our ancestors, some that we didn't meet, still watch over and guide us. And so Signs is all about opening to that language. That doorway for that is within, right? And getting this tangible two-way language back and forth so that we can communicate. Now, Guided is taking us a step further, because Guided says, okay, we've gotten over the fear of our own abilities, right? And we've learned to trust that we can connect and communicate. We've gotten proof of that through creating this language of signs with our teams of light on the other side. So that's when the magic happens. When you have conquered fear and doubt, right? Now I'm trusting the signs. Your whole world opens up and you can be so incredibly guided onto your highest path. Guided is really about a state of being. It's about a mindset. It's about saying, I'm opening my heart and my mind to realizing I'm not here on this life path myself, that I am so beloved, I am so supported, and I am so guided by a team of light on the other side. And I'm going to pay attention to that. I'm going to make sure to create space for that in my life. Because I think when we live a guided life, we're not just changing our own paths. We are affecting countless other people because our lives are all intertwined. So it can be so magical when you embrace that.
I've heard you talk about this team of light a lot. I've heard other people refer to it as soul packs, if that's how the audience has heard it before. But I've heard, and I've read this in different books. I'd love for you to sort of clarify for me. I've heard that our spirit guides or our team of light, we travel from life to life together. So like my dad could have been the mayor of my town in a past life. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So I'll share with you what my team of light, what the other side has taught me over the many decades I've been doing this.
Okay.
Let me start by saying I was raised Lutheran. So my first concept of God was a white man with a white beard and a white robe, right? Being very loving. And I think that's a very valid understanding and vehicle. But I think my understanding of how loved and guided and kind of what God energy is has expanded. And I think that this is what I've been told. And this is going to turn my brain in a pretzel to just try to explain this, because we're right now, when we're here on Earth School, we're locked into our little monkey minds. It's this frontal lobe that meditation teachers call the monkey mind that chatters, right? But that frontal lobe's in charge of analytical thinking, critical thinking, math, language skills, all the day-to-day stuff you need. We start to get locked in it between age 5 and 7, like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, which is why we distance ourselves from our abilities. But what it also does is it teaches us to just pay attention to like the materialistic paradigm of belief, right? So we're kind of stuck in that. And what I'm about to explain is a little hard to process in that part of our brains, right? But what they've told me is this: everything is really happening all at once, that our existence is here on our school. It's a collective lesson in love. And so we're always intertwined with other people's paths. And when you're like, how could this happen? How does this make sense? The answer is always about love. It's about helping grow love, or helping people access love, or challenge themselves to be more loving, whatever that might be. And that's why when we look at our own lives, right, it's really hard to assess our failures or what we see as successes, because there might be a whole nother spiritual context for that. What we're deeming a failure was like our soul's greatest success here. So there's that, right? But everything's all at once. Now, they do tell me that we come in soul groups. So have you ever met someone and you're like, I know I just met you, but like, I know you. You have this familiarity. Like, that's soul group recognition, right? And our little dunce cap brains are keeping us from remembering like our soul connection, that the other side is our true home, that, you know, this is really a school for souls. Like, we think we're separate from one another. We're not, right? So I do feel that we come here in different lifetimes as well, but it's all at once. And we look at time as linear here, you know, like almost as a canvas that progresses. But that's not what quantum physics seems to say when it does its test. Like, if you really want to go on a deep dive, look up like the theory of retrocausality. And what you're going to find is that it unequivocally proves in a scientific, well-studied way that yes, we know the past affects the future, but it proves that the future actually affects the past. How does that make sense, right? If time is linear, it can't make sense. If everything is all at once, it can. There's some really fascinating studies around that too. So I think we come back in soul groups. I think we can play different roles for each other. And here's the truth that I feel: we're always really on the other side. Have you ever done a virtual reality, like with the goggles and like that whole setup? It feels like you're really there experiencing it, but you're really not. You're standing somewhere else. And I feel like what they've shown me is we're never separate from those we love, because our soul essence is always on the other side together. And then we beam down in these, you know, virtual reality lives to learn lessons in collective love. So I think that one of the falsehoods that our brain tricks us into thinking is that we're separate.
From what, and I could be misinterpreting what you said, but it kind of sounds like you feel like we're here in a simulation a little bit, the way Elon Musk does.
Yeah, I do think it, but I also think, like, who's to say what a simulation is? Like, if you think about these physical bodies we have, right? It's kind of like getting in a car and driving somewhere, getting to a destination, getting out, you leave the car there, you're still very much like present. So I think what I'm really saying is that we are spirits, we are souls in physical bodies right now, having this human experience. And it's not just for our own learning about love, it's to also foster and help other people. So yeah, I do think that this is kind of like a virtual reality experience in that same way. Yeah.
So what are these guides guiding us towards? Is it our own inclinations and wants, or are they able to see sort of the bigger plan?
It's a much bigger plan. And I think sometimes here on Earth, we have such a myopic view, and we might be like saying, please make this happen for me, please. But our guides know that if they make that happen for us, like something awful will happen on our path 4 months later, and they have to avoid that roadblock that's coming. So they're like, oh, they're just going to be really disappointed about this one, but we got to block it. And we're none the wiser. And then we get upset and we feel like the universe has forgotten about us or whatever. Like, what I do know and what has been driven home for me is whatever is happening to you is happening for you. And I think that could be really hard to understand when it comes to loss or grief or things like that. But I can only tell you what the other side tells me, which is it's all about love. And truly the only lessons and we're meant to learn here is any opportunity we have to give love or receive it. That's it. And our true currency is supposed to be like kindness, empathy, forgiveness, gratitude, and love. If you are living by those standards, if that's what you're doing in your daily life, no matter how small you might think your little world is or how large, You're acing your time here. You just are.
Yeah.
And so our guides are always trying to help us get on our highest paths. Sometimes they'll put thoughts in our mind like, don't go that way home, take the longer way. A lot of times it'll be counterintuitive. We're like, why would I do that? Only to find out if we had gone the other way home, there was an accident or the road was closed. They are constantly trying to help us. I will also say it's the least complicated relationship any of us will ever have, because if we ignore our spirit guides, they don't get offended. They just circle back and try again. They're just there to support and love. There's like nothing we need to do. I think they love when we're more open to the guidance. I think they love when we pay attention to our own psychic and intuitive abilities. I'm always talking about the 4 clairs that we all come here with, right? So when we open to those, they can communicate more clearly with us. They can help us get on our highest path in a much easier way. They can help us sometimes glimpse the bigger picture that we were failing to see.
Wow. When I posted that I was going to interview you, I got so many interesting questions from people.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going to share a bunch of them, but one that that came over and over again were the signs that you just mentioned. People really want clarity on how to ask for the signs, what the signs are, and also, is there ever a sign that is too small or feels like a coincidence? For instance, you're shaking your head no, but I'll just give an example.
Yeah.
There's been moments in my life where I'm not even really asking for a sign. Something will happen, and then a song on the radio comes on, and the same word I was thinking about or is in that song, like in a repetitive way. Yes, that could have been a coincidence, or it could have been a sign. And I'm always a little speculative, and so I don't know what to make of it. Can you share what your thoughts are?
That's such a great question to explore here. So just the example you gave, right? You're thinking something and the exact lines, the words come in a song. What that would really be showing you is how in sync and in flow of light of the universe you are, that you're not separate and on your own, that there is a team listening and with you and showing up and showing you they're present. So here's what I always say. Okay. If you have this moment in your thoughts where you're like, I think that was a sign, it is. Here's why. We're always getting trapped with this little monkey mind. It chatters, and it's only based in like tangible, like if you can't see it, touch it, taste it, feel it, it doesn't exist. It doesn't want to talk about unseen energy. It doesn't want to talk about like the connections between all things, right? So if we get this little moment where we're able to like jailbreak our monkey mind for a brief second and be like, I think that was a sign, pay careful attention, because if you're able to do that, that means you're recognizing the spiritual. Now, what happens when we have spiritual experiences is oftentimes our monkey mind will like slam them down. It'll say, it's a coincidence. Stop being foolish. Don't tell anyone about this. You'll be laughed at, right? It tells you all sorts of really mean things. And why? It's trying to control the narrative and not let you access that part of yourselves. I think also because 98% of our brainwave activity in our waking hours takes place exclusively in that frontal lobe. So we're really stuck in it during waking hours. It's interesting to talk about sleep too, and like dream visitations by people on the other side and like why that happens and precognitive dreams and all of that. Do you know, like the scientists who were working on how to like save people with diabetes dreamt about insulin, like they got that answer in a dream. Like famous musicians have woken up with songs that became so famous and helped and healed so many people playing in their minds. Like we go somewhere else when we dream, but in our waking hours, we're stuck here, right? So let's talk about how to really open our minds and hearts to recognize the signs. You did. When you had that moment in the car, you're like, oh, that's odd. I think that could be a sign. What should happen right after that is your monkey mind should tell you it's not, because there's always going to be a wrestling match. But what you do is you just like surrender the experience and own it. You tell your monkey mind to sit down and be quiet. What I love to teach people to do though, is to, if you have a moment where you're like, I think that was a sign, was it? Get more specific. Ask the other side to show you louder or show you more. So let's talk a little bit about the signs that the other side sends you without you asking, what I call default signs, and then a way that you can co-create this language. So I think what's really important for our loved ones when they cross, or our guides or God energy to let us know they're present, is to get our attention. So I have found that there are certain default signs that they will use to get our attention, to get us like jailbreak our little monkey mind for a moment and go, wait, there's something much more magical going on here. And so the first I want to talk about, which happens for a lot of people, is coins. They'll be thinking about somebody. It'll be a special day. They'll be going on a trip. They'll be whatever it might be. And they find a coin in their path. And at the same time, they have this sense of, I feel like this is my team of light, or somebody on my team of light sending this to me. And I always say, pick up the coin and look at the date, because there might be a whole second message in it too. But why do they send coins? Well, I think they're shiny and get our attention, so it's easy to do. But I also think when we leave our physical bodies, we are light energy. That's what we are. And if you actually want to like dive into the quantum physics of that, is actually what we are. When you break down like our physical bodies into organs, into atoms, break the atoms into electrons, protons, neutrons, break those down further to a quantum level, we are just light. And what's really interesting in science is that the fingerprint of God, if you will, is when things, rather than heading towards chaos and entropy, all of a sudden start patterning together. And that's what light does. It starts forming patterns that form into atoms, that form into cells and bodies and all of these things, right? So we're actually not solid beings, but that's a whole nother tangent to go on. But I think it's easy for us when we return to light form to manipulate small metallic objects. That's why coins are in our path a lot. Another thing they love to do to let us know they're around is manipulate electronics. So flickering lights, turning TV on and off, they'll still do that, but they love that we have cell phones now. So pay attention if you're ever texting someone and all of a sudden the word in the text box changes to a totally different word. Pay attention when you get a phone call on maybe a special day or a certain day and there's no return number. Like they will do all sorts of things to get our attention. Sometimes they'll make the electronics go wonky for you too. They'll just like make a call drop or whatever it might be. But it's all to get our attention so that we realize that they're around. And then the third thing that they like to do a lot is send creatures that navigate our world using electromagnetic fields. So birds of all forms, like, hummingbirds, eagles, cardinals, you name it, deer, fox, ladybugs, dragonflies.
What does it mean if they send one of those creatures or a coin? Like especially if you didn't ask for it.
They're showing us that, first of all, it's like a hug and a kiss and a hello, I love you from the other side. Because here's the thing, they don't have voice boxes to do that anymore. They don't have arms to hug us. So they find new ways to communicate. It's a reminder that we're never alone on our journey. Sometimes it's also encouragement. I know a lot of people who, let's say they've lost a loved one and they're going on the vacation for the first time without their loved one. They'll find a coin with their loved one's birthday on it. And what that's showing them is like, I'm still here with you. Right. So
nice.
It's like they'll send their names. They'll send lookalikes. Pay attention to what you see on license plates. They'll do all these things to show you that there is more than meets the eye here in our physical existence. But the most magical part of co-creating a language is when you ask for specific things back. They love a challenge. And I think that we really need to own that and have that experience for it to become our truth, right? Because otherwise we're always like, questioning, or what could that be? So I always tell people to start by creating a language of 4 different signs you can use. The first one I say is pick a creature. It could be any creature that pops into your mind. Then I'm like, make it a little different, because what's going to happen when you get your sign is your monkey mind's going to tell you it's coincidence, try to reject it. So the wackier you make it, the more specific you make it, the more you have to own it. So that's why I'm always saying, don't just ask for an elephant, ask for a purple elephant, or like ask for a platypus, or like some, different animal, or a giraffe with a red bow, whatever it might be, make it unique. That's one way. And I'm also going to say a really important step to doing this is writing it down somewhere. So that could be in the notes section of your phone, or it could be journaling, whatever it is. I think it's really important. So when you get your sign, you're like, no, I have proof. I asked for that. Look, and I got it in these 4 ways,
Yes.
I always say ask for a number sequence, because although I was an English teacher and I was kind of allergic to math, I have great respect for math. And I've been shown that the way this whole kind of virtual reality paradigm works is through mathematical equations, right? Everything's sort of mathematically inclined. So I think it's very easy for them to get number sequences to us. And for a lot of people
Yeah.
listening, you probably have one that's kind of followed you in your life already. Like some people have 1111, 444, or just like certain numbers they'll like always see on the clock, or like they'll always
Right.
hear whatever this is. And then also pick a phrase. It could be any phrase you want, or one that just, pops in your mind, or one that was important to you from your childhood. And then pick a song. They love communicating through songs. And I know you've had that experience already, right? But
Yeah.
you've now given them 4 ways to communicate back with you. And you can build on this language at any time. It's like if you wanted to learn a foreign language and you had 4 words, that's a great start. But
Yeah.
let's keep building. Let's learn more.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I oscillate between full believer and total skeptic, and I actually think it's healthy. And so
It's so
I think that's how you are actually.
I
Like,
am. It's so funny. I don't consider myself woo woo, and I'm like a huge skeptic. Even when I came to terms with my abilities, and even like how I still like, I know what I get is real and authentic, and I know it has meaning for
yes.
all of us, that we all have it. But I'm always raising my hand and signing up for every scientific study I can do where they're mapping my brain. They're seeing what my brain waves do. Like, how am I accessing this? How can we all access it? And I think it's so great to be skeptical in life. I think that's so important. I would never want somebody to listen to me and my experiences and be like, that's it, I believe, we're good. No, like, listen to my experiences because you've been guided to hear me, right?
Yes.
But it's a doorway that is being offered to you within yourself to go explore that and test it. Go test it, because I'm going to tell you it's going to work. Like, if you get a sign and you're like, okay, I want another one, you're going to get another one. And it becomes your own
I
truth and your own
agree.
authentic experience. I was raised by 2 high school English teachers, and they taught me to be a critical thinker. And a critical thinker questions everything and goes on a journey, is like a seeker in life to find answers. And I think it's so healthy and good to always keep that mindset.
I love that you use the word seeker. That's what I always call all of the really smart people that listen to this podcast. I think they're constantly seeking for better relationships, better careers, all of that. And so I also love when you talk about your first experience with your psychic abilities, mostly because you say that your mom embraced you so beautifully, so kindly, and she kind of shared that this ability ran in your family.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what it is that you see when you read somebody's energy at first. Do you see a color? Do you feel a vibe? What is it?
Yeah. So whenever I'm reading for somebody, first of all, I think I'm always reading psychically. That part is always like always on and always open. And reading psychically does not drain my energy. It's just, it helps me navigate my world, honestly. So
Yeah.
it's like a volume switch, it's probably on a 5 most of the time. And then if I want to like purposely, like if I'm doing a reading and I want to look at someone's energy, I'll turn it all the way up, and I'll go like retrieve or reach into their energy field, their aura, like what scientists call a biofield. Same thing, aura, biofield. We just have 2 different names for it. So I think that's always on and working. And even if I'm going to do a mediumship reading, I first like dive in psychically to make that connection. So the very first time, like I'll read for somebody, or if I'm meeting somebody, I usually will experience them in a color. And if I'm doing like this in-depth reading for them, I'll be shown what I call a core aura, like CORE, core aura, by their spirit guides. And it's really a blueprint for their soul's mission this lifetime. So I'll see the gifts they came in with, like maybe some of the soul challenges they're meant to face while here, like how they're doing with things, all so much information. But it's really interesting, I think, like to the person and also to me understanding their energy.
I'm obsessed with the way you talk about creativity. I watched this interview that you did online. I think it was with a psychotherapist in New York, and you were on stage. It was live.
Well, Dr. Mark Epstein.
Yes.
That was
my God.
On YouTube. It's great. He's wonderful. He's just magical.
He is, but so are you. And it was your energy together. And you said you see creativity as orange. I love when you talk about the purpose of art and creativity in our world. You say that creativity is a form of divine communication.
Absolutely.
Can you share more about that?
Yeah, first let me just say, when I do read colors and energy, yes, the color orange for me shows me that of the person's an artist, that they have artistic ability, that they have a deep appreciation for art, right? But we all have that to some degree. We just have to open to it more sometimes. But what I do know is anytime we open to our creative, our artistic abilities in any form, we are in direct communication with the other side. No artist ever works alone. So if you want to open your energy and you want to connect with your team of light and you want divine inspiration, just make space in your life to create. You do not need to be an expert. You just need to go into that energy field and do it. So whether that means creating space to journal or write, going to a pottery class, going to do some painting, listening to music, singing the lyrics to a song, whatever this is, going to a museum and witnessing art, going to a movie and drinking it in, anytime we experience art, or even better, create or open to a creative state ourselves, we are in divine connection and magical things can happen. And one of the things they told me too is it's not about what we're producing. It's about the experience of connection we're having. And I think our society teaches all the wrong things. It teaches like, unless you are going to be a professional singer, don't bother. Unless you have these great gifts to paint and somebody's going to want to pay you a lot of money for your painting, don't bother. And that is the exact opposite of truth. If you look at societies where great breakthroughs have happened, they have thrived, they've come together, it's always during Renaissance. It's always when the arts are valued. And so I think opening to that, and for each of us to understand that we have an inner creative, we have an inner artist, and it's time to let that out and to play and create space for that, it will make our lives brighter in all ways.
Now, there's something I've heard Rick Rubin talk about that feels connected to this that I'd love your opinion on, which is he says that, like, if we get a download of an idea creatively and we don't make that thing, you will usually see it made in another month, in another year, whenever, because somebody else gets that download. You're in like sort of the cultural current. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I love that concept. And it kind of shows how interconnected we all are. So what I love, first of all, is that all of us use the same word, download. You can listen to interviews from all different people and all different walks of life, and they're all saying the same thing. I got a download. I got a download. Right. The download, because it happens not in earth time, but like boom, in this like divine kind of space that's outside of our linear time, right? I feel like we are all in constant connection with one another and with some greater good. And when we open to the other side, yes, there's whole teams up there that are trying to help humanity, help us progress, help us be creative, help us thrive. And so we might all be tapping in to the same sort of message that humanity is supposed to get for right now, but it's the ones that create the space to honor that and bring it through that's important. Like, one thing I know about being here on earth is that we should all strive to be what I call light workers. And a light worker is somebody who finds whatever gifts they came programmed here for themselves. Like, we're all unique, right? And then honors those gifts and then shares them with others, and then helps encourage others to find their own unique gifts and share it. And so it's this beautiful chain of light. Yeah. And I think that when we pay attention to our downloads and we create space for it, we become a vehicle for others to learn and embrace that too.
What do you think happens when we ignore those creative nudges? Do they disappear and do they go to somebody else, or do they keep knocking until we listen?
Well, I think if it's something we maybe spiritually signed up for, they keep knocking. You know, okay. I can tell you from my own experience that my gifts were like very pronounced and they overwhelmed me in my early 20s, where I said to the other side, like, I am not ready for this. Like, the first time I was doing a reading and like mediumship happened, I was like, what is going on? Like, I am not ready for this. And then people were showing up at my apartment and like wanting reading. I was like, this is not okay with me. I want to be a high school English teacher. I'm not doing this. And they were like, okay, we'll circle back. And they did. The moment I had my first daughter, it was like all my abilities turned up, and I got this download that told me, okay, we've given you time. This is your journey now. This is your path. And I had to honor it. So I think that for some people, if you have a kind of spiritual contract you've signed with the other side, that this is something you agreed to do, it will just stay in your energy field until you do it. And for others, it might be like, hey, do you want to take this mission? Or should we get you for another one later? I'll also tell you, there are times I've done readings for people and I'll say to them, there's a book waiting to be written, but it's not on a timeline. You could do it next year. You could do it in 7 years. This is not going to go away. Or I might see
Okay.
that there's something they're supposed to help out with here on earth. It might be a philanthropic, outreach for something, or it might be a certain theme about what they're doing. And I'll see, like, they get to decide it sometimes in the next like 7 years, they could choose when. So it's really dependent on if it's something that's part of your soul journey to directly experience, or it's
Yeah.
like, hey, if you have time, will you do this for humanity?
So I've had psychic readings before from several people, some multiple with the same person. And I found that there were a lot of things that came true that were very specific and definitely added to my deep belief. And then there were some things that didn't happen or haven't happened yet. And I do believe that you have like free will, and that plays a role in our lives. Are there multiple lives that we can live, and based on our decisions, we go down different paths, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I feel like those are really beautiful questions that you're exploring, right? And I think there's almost like two different questions in there. So the
Okay.
first one I want to address is what happens when you have a reading with somebody and some things are just like so specific and they happen spot on this way they said they were, and then others like don't happen. What goes on there? What I've
Right.
learned from the other side is that free will trumps everything. And I want you to think about if we were looking at like, maybe a ball rolling down the street, right? And it was like rolling in a straight line. And we're like, oh, it's going to end up, at the end of the street there. But all of a sudden a breeze came and now it's rolling just ever so slightly to the left. What's eventually going to happen is it's going to curve in a new direction. And I think that what we fail to understand too is that we are all part of each other's journey at all times. And so we might be headed in a certain direction, but then it might be like for the highest good if we would help this person learn their soul lesson by being a catalyst or a vehicle, or maybe modeling something in the world for them to notice and learn from. Maybe we agree to it. And so maybe where we were going to end up changes, but it's still for the greatest good, right? I think sometimes
you can't block your own blessings, is
I
what
don't
I'm
think you can
hearing.
ever block your own blessings, but I think that you can take sometimes winding journeys to them. I think that sometimes if we tune out of our spiritual selves, if we don't honor like our knowings, the four clairs, clairvoyance, which is clear seeing, clairaudience, which is clear hearing, is when you hear a thought that comes to you. Clairvoyance is like dreaming, your eyes are closed, but you're seeing. Claircognizance is clear knowing, where you just know something in every ounce of your being. And clairsentience is like clear feeling, where you're feeling energy. So if we're having information given to us in that way and we choose to ignore it, we're purposely choosing not to be on our highest path. Like, to be in a state of being open to those abilities and being guided by them will always get us on our highest path, whatever that is. So do I think that somebody could say like right now, this is going to happen, but if you make a different decision, like next Tuesday, a different outcome can happen? Absolutely. But there's going to be a different theme, or a different understanding.
Yeah.
So that was the first part. And then the second part you had was like, okay, can there be different realities that are happening? And I think that's probably valid. I think our soul experiences things in different ways. You probably heard the term like timeline jumping. That's what that refers to, which is this concept of like, okay, we kind of veer off into this experience, but there's another version of that experience where everything worked out great or is happy, or like vice versa, right? Why? Because we want to experience things in all ways. Like, our soul seeks understanding, and we understand love more greatly by also understanding loss, right? Yeah. It's like the collective coming together in love that matters. So I always feel like trust yourself over all things. And it's wonderful to have like a reading, but nobody needs it, honestly, because if you open that doorway within yourself to create space to honor the downloads and the nudges and the knowings that you get, you're going to always be on your highest path. And when in doubt, you just have to figure out which decision is the path of fear and which is the path of love, because they can be tricky sometimes to differentiate, right? Because choosing love is always our highest path. So if you're coming up to something and you're having like really anxiety thoughts, like what if X, Y, or Z doesn't happen? I have to do this because God forbid, like this might happen otherwise. Like, that's not a love path. A love path is about being like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. I'm going to honor it. I'm going to trust. And I'm going to move forward.
Wow, that's beautiful. Because I at least think about the Sliding Doors movie with Gwyneth Paltrow all the time.
Movie.
Well, like it speaks.
Have you read The Midnight Library?
Yes.
Oh,
Matt.
so that's, yeah, Matt Haig is like so wonderful. It's another like idea of like that our soul is learning different lessons in different ways. Yeah.
I love that. You mentioned loss, and so many people's questions from social media were about what happens on the other side and how can we talk to people on the other side.
This is where people think they need a psychic medium to talk to them. Like, even when I do readings, they'll say like, tell my dad I love him. And I'm like, you have that ability. Like, I'm the third wheel. Anytime we ever direct our thoughts to someone on the other side, they hear us 100% of the time.
Oh, wow.
Anytime we like pray to the other side, it is always received. It's not like you'd ever need somebody else to help you do that, right? So it's just
Yeah.
by trusting that you're doing that and having the thought. Some people like saying things out loud, and that's fine too. That's whatever is comfortable for people. But that communication is there constantly. Whenever I do like gallery readings and people come in, like they come in and I see all these cords of light between the people who walk in, but I also see cords of light between them and their loved ones on the other side who are present with them. They come with them, they leave with them. I'm not the one who's like, let me summon them up. They're there. I'm the one plugging into it. And that's what I want everybody to know. Like, that is there for everybody all the time. And it's beautiful. And relationships strengthen after somebody crosses. The other thing is that on the other side, when you cross, you do a life review. And it's hard to explain because it's like, we have linear time here, right? But in a millisecond, you're made to understand your entire life, not only reliving it from like your own perspective, but the perspective of everyone you affected and how you made them feel and the changes that happened on their path because of you. And it just shifts your whole knowledge about what you thought your life was in really beautiful ways most of the time. And it also helps get people out of being stuck in a mindset. Like if there was any unfinished business, or if the person you loved who's crossed had like an alcohol or drug problem, or had, a personality problem where they're just mean, like they're going to see it different now. And the number one thing they always want to do is ask forgiveness, because they need to take accountability and they want you to know that they maybe were misguided on their path of understanding love, but they understand it now.
You've actually given me a lot of peace with that, because both of my grandpas are passed. One I had sort of a tougher relationship with, and one I was very close with. And the one I had a tougher relationship with on Earth, I actually have a much nicer relationship with now. And I think about him more, and I kind of like see his face more. And it's been so cool. Like, I feel like he sort of learned a lot on Earth School and can see it differently now.
Exactly. And wants to show up for you so profoundly now and kind of make up for it.
Yes.
I love that relationships strengthen after. Like, the love does not end. It continues and it gets even brighter and stronger. And whatever like the conflict was here, they don't have that there. The other side is this place of just like wisdom and love. Connectivity and understanding. And here's the thing, think about it. When you leave your physical body and your light and your consciousness returns home to the other side, and you are connecting with the consciousness of other beings on the other side, but you don't have a physical body, you download their whole experiences in a millisecond. And so, how a lot of religions say like, do unto others as you do unto yourself. It's true, because what separates us once we don't have bodies? Nothing. We're actually different leaves on different branches of the same tree. This is a collective experience. And I think that's why we come to Earth School, because we're only as strong as our weakest link. And I think that there are some groups that come as teachers, some as healers, some as catalysts, some as change agents, to help out maybe the souls who are a little stuck or need to learn the lesson in new ways.
I've always felt like each soul has probably a lot of small lessons, but some really big lessons, maybe like 2 or 3 that we all have. Can you identify that in people right away? And how do you think we can identify those within ourselves? I definitely can identify some.
I can identify it when I do the core aura readings. And I'll tell you one that seems to be a really big one for people. If I see green in a core aura, it means like one of their soul challenges this lifetime is about embracing change. And the way that your soul will be challenged to grow is that
Yeah.
usually change will happen to you very suddenly, at least once or twice a lifetime, where it's nothing you caused or did. It just like fell in your lap and now you had to deal with it. And it was all about, did you choose the fear path with that change or the love path? We don't have to be
Mhm.
happy about the change, but we do have to recognize that what's happening to us is happening for us, and like for our soul evolution, or for us to be a catalyst for others, or to like rise in our own light. And we have to
Right.
trust in a higher path for ourselves, right? And then the other change test is like things are offered to you, and you might be very comfortable where you are in life, and you say like, do I make this change? This is going to shift my path, and I don't know what's around the corner, but I'm feeling pulled to do this, or I'm feeling called to do this. That's so important to choose that love path. So you're tested in different ways. I think in a lot of ways we all are tested with that change challenge, right? So it's
Right.
about like choosing that path of love always.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I've also heard you speak a lot about the first breath moment when a soul fully incarnates. I'd love if you could kind of walk us through what that means and what that looks like, and also um, how that plays a role in how children choose their parents.
You know, all children choose their parents and all parents choose their children. And, you know, sometimes when I'll do a reading for a child that has crossed at a young age on the other side, one of the first things they want to acknowledge and thank their parents for and thank their loved ones for was agreeing to let them be their child and be with them and be loved like that.
Oh,
Because
wow.
before we get here, we know ultimately, like, okay, I know my time with you is going to be short, but I'll take whatever I can get because my soul loves your soul so much. You know, there's this beautiful kind of contract that there. It's really, really sacred. And I think that it can be really profound.
This was probably the second most popular question, which was, are twin flames real? Can you recognize a twin
Like
flame
twin
connection?
flames and soulmate. I think we recognize people that are in our soul groups, or that we are destined to meet, or that we have a contract to play something out with. So do I think that there's a concept of twin souls and soulmates? Absolutely. But I think sometimes we misunderstand that, and we maybe interchange the word soulmate with twin soul, and we think there's just one. No.
So, what is a
Sometimes your
soulmate?
so your soulmate is somebody who's like another soul that you are so deeply connected with, who you share such deep love for, and that you have contracted with to be on this journey of growth and exploration, right? And so sometimes it can be confusing, right? Because sometimes negative things can go on. It's like that's still going to teach you too. I think it's recognizing that soul recognition. But a soulmate can be a parent. A soulmate can be a best friend. A soulmate can be a romantic partner. A soulmate can be a child. A soulmate can be a teacher. Like you
Yeah.
probably have many soulmates in your life right now. Like, and we kind of romanticize what a soulmate is and be like, I've got this one person out there that if I find that person, I'm going to have the best love experience and my life's going to be complete. And really, the most important experience any of us are having when we're here is our relationship with ourselves. And when we really trust the guidance and we open our hearts and we become the best version of ourselves, we're going to show up for everybody in the most beautiful way. And so even our soulmate experiences are going to be wonderful and dynamic and powerful. The twin flame has a lot more to do with like the romantic concept, right? Of like this partnership that is like just a total energy match. And I do think that that's very real. I think we could even talk about it in a much like smaller way. Like you go out to lunch and you sit at a table at a conference with maybe 12 people that you haven't met before. You might feel really pulled to like two of them and maybe really not pulled to two of them. And then the rest are
Mhm.
neutral. Like that's you feeling energy. That's you sensing who's in your soul group or sensing who your energy aligns with the best. And I think we just need to pay more attention to that. I think
Do you have
sometimes we also confuse twin flames for people who have been sent to teach us lessons about ourselves or teach us to like respect it. Because I think sometimes true like really high level love is very peaceful. And I think sometimes we confuse it to think it has to be like crazy passionate and have all this dynamic. And sometimes those relationships are really to teach us about our own boundaries or respecting our own light or whatever that might be. So I think the best thing we can all be is open to these experiences and always searching and seeking what these answers are for us, but also taking inventory of our relationship with ourselves, and that we're being respectful of our own light, and that we're using kindness and forgiveness and gratitude as our currency, you know?
Have your psychic abilities ever protected you from anything or anyone?
Oh, they've protected me countless times, you know?
Wow.
Small examples might be, you know, and this is in one of my books too. I'd be at a light, it turns green and I don't go. And my kids are like, why are you not going? And I'm like, I'm not even like rationally understanding why. It's just like a pull back. And I start to say, because, and an 18-wheeler flies by, had gone through this red light like 2 seconds after. Another time I'm pulling into like the Target parking lot and I slow the car to a stop. And my kids are like, why are you stopping the car? And with that, a little 3-year-old girl runs out into the parking spot I would have driven into. So those are examples of saving my own life and the lives of others. But it plays out like that for us in all different ways. I think that we can avoid hard lessons sometimes that wouldn't really serve us, would just kind of like tangle us up. Because I think sometimes, you know, it's like you can learn the easy way or the hard way. As long as you understand the lesson, you're fine. And I think that, you know, when you go to the airport and they have those moving sidewalks and you're like, you could walk slowly or just get on that. If you are open and in a state of guidance, this can have really powerful, practical, like meaning for you in your life. It's like getting on that super fast, like little, you know, walkway where you don't have to do all the hard work. Why? Because you are trusting, you're in a state of guidance and openness, and you are in that flow of light of the universe.
I think many people are taught to manifest or follow the law of attraction.
Yes.
But you talk about 2 pre-steps, which is purge and balance.
Yeah. And my guides taught me that. And it's the 2 most important steps. Like, let me put it this way. If you wanted to plant a garden and you go out, you're not just going to be like, oh, look at all the stuff here. Let me just throw these seeds on top of it. Nope. You're going to weed all the stuff that is going to interfere with that garden. And then you're going to till the soil. You're going to get it in the perfect state for planting. And then you plant. If you miss those first 2 steps, it's like, you know, instead of like having your volume switch at a 10 for the universe, you're barely at a 1. You've like self-sabotaged from the start. So it's really important. And that again has to do with your relationship with yourself. You know, as a high school English teacher, I used to do like a final assignment, and kids used to groan and be like, oh, why do we have to do this? It was a reflection of their journey through literature and their own essay writing and what they learned and experienced throughout the year. And they'd grumble, and then they would hand in these most beautiful reflective pieces. And they're like, I didn't even recognize I learned this. And I'm owning this truth, and I'm changing, and this changed me. And it's like this giddy happiness they have, recognizing how like that process changed them. And I think we fail to do this in our adult lives. We fail to reflect. First of all, there's this cacophony of noise and energy coming at us from our like cell phones and like, you know, online and all this stuff that we are not even quiet within ourselves. So I think the most important thing in order to really get into like what we want to create or what is the best thing for us is to first get quiet and then get rid of the junk that's in there that doesn't serve us. And it can be as simple as this. Set a timer for 5 minutes or 3 minutes or how much ever time you want to give it. Take a pen and paper or go to your computer and start typing out every negative thought that pops into your mind. At the end of the timer, look at it and you're going to see you don't believe in any of that, but that is what has been swimming around in your mind. That is what your monkey mind's been telling you daily. Because if it comes out on paper, it's in you. And you take this moment, you say, I reject this. This is not what you reflect, you read it and go like, wait a minute, I can't believe this came out of me. Like, this is so mean and awful and I don't believe any of it. So you've now shifted, you've purged that, you've rejected it. You know, and feel free to do like it in a materialistic way too, where you're like, let me go in my closet and get rid of what doesn't serve me here and donate it to somebody. Like you can do it in a symbolic sense too, right? And then it's all about balance. That's the second pre-step. And it's about creating this beautiful openness within yourself. So doing something to nurture your own light energy, maybe taking inventory of like, how much are you sleeping? What are you physically putting into your body? Because that's actually the most intimate physical thing we do here is what we eat. It becomes part of our being. So take inventory of that. Take inventory about, are you creating time to recharge? Are you creating time to be connected with nature? Are you creating time to be creative? And then start doing some of those things. When you feel recharged and ready, now you're ready to create. And then it's the think it, where you're just like having ideas, see it. And for that, I always say like vision boarding's great. Like go up, cut up magazines, see what you pull out. It might surprise you. Paste it somewhere, take a picture, put it as your screen background for your phone. And then write it is a really annoying step. You have to write a letter to the universe of gratitude, like God, the universe, whatever you want, make it super detailed, but always leave like the co-creation. So let's say you want to find the perfect partner. You might describe all the inner qualities, all the outer qualities, and then say by January 1st or sooner. But also know that there's like divine timing that might happen. So if it doesn't happen in that timing, it doesn't mean your manifest wasn't heard. It means that the universe is dreaming bigger for you or knows better than you and is on top of it already, right? And then you can do it in all things like relationship, career, whatever you want. Yeah. And then you have to speak it, but you have to speak it to 2 other people who you know will always be rooting for you. No frenemies, nobody who like will be jealous about your manifest. It has to be 2 people that you know like nurture your soul and you trust. You can even do a little manifesting party with them. Be like, okay, on Friday night, we're going to get together and we're going to have a glass of wine and I'm going to bring one thing I want to manifest. You guys bring it. And this is what you do. You state your manifest. And so you're going to like narrow it down. Like if you wrote like a 10-page letter, right, you're going to narrow it down a little into a statement and it's going to sound something like this. Oh, and by the way, the letter has to be like one of gratitude as if it's already happened, right? Not like, oh, please bring me this, because then you'll be in the state of that. So you're going to say like, I'm so excited for the universe to bring me the perfect job with like this ideal salary by January 1st or sooner. And then your 2 friends or family members or loved ones repeat it back. I'm so excited for the universe to bring you the perfect job by January 1st or sooner. And then the next person goes, right? So it's like you do this and it amplifies it into the universe so loudly, because the truth is collective energy is so much more powerful than individual. So when we form that, it becomes really magical. Then here's the hardest step. Are you ready? It's the one that a lot of people fail and get stuck on. Surrender it. And that means you cannot sit there and micromanage how it's going to happen. You can't go like, I can't believe I just asked for that. It's never going to happen. Like, what would I need to do to make that happen? Now you're like reverse manifesting, where you're canceling it out, right? So it's really important to be aware and just surrender it and just be like, I'll let the magic happen. Thank you, Team of Light, and just let it go.
And just know that they've got your back and it will happen.
They've got your back.
And there's nothing you can do to push.
Yep. And if it doesn't happen exactly what you want, they know better. They're going to dream better for you. I've had experiences like that in my own life where I thought I really wanted something right now, only to see like 3 years later, like, oh my God, this is where this was leading. I didn't even realize it. And had I taken that path then, this would have been closed to me. And so it's trusting. And that's all about guidance too. I think living a guided life is trusting in the guidance and trusting that what you're putting out there is being heard and that you're not forgotten and like you matter, and you matter not only to the light energy of this world, but to like other people's journeys too.
Do you think that spirituality can make us more resilient?
Oh, 100%. I actually feel like if you don't get your spiritual self on, you're just not the brightest, shiniest, strongest version of yourself. I think that the currency of spirituality is empathy, kindness, gratitude, forgiveness. And if you look at studies of the physical body too, when we embrace this way of being, of thinking, of not holding on to anger, of not holding on to bitterness, of like wanting the best for others, we shift. We become like healthier on like a cellular level, but we also become healthier in terms of our relationship with ourselves.
I hope that this comes off as not like a dark energy question, but I thought it was funny when it was submitted. How can you tell when a psychic is full of it?
That's such a good question. First of all, I think that you have to go into any experience questioning and skeptical. I think you can hold space to hear somebody's messages, and a couple things can happen. Like, first of all, psychic abilities are very real and they do exist. But here in the United States and elsewhere, there is no certification program unless like you go and try and do it yourself. Like I'm certified by Forever Family Foundation, by Wimbridge. Like I work with research scientists. Like I do that because it's important to me. But truly anybody can like be like, hey, I'm a psychic. Let me read for you. And that can be really like, you got to be very careful about who you let into your energy. Like that's a very real thing. And you can have somebody who's not very developed thinking that they are, and then going into your energy field and saying these things that you take into your energy and you hold on to. And that can be a little like, So here's what I say. I always say, trust word of mouth. Trust if like you heard firsthand somebody had this really profound, beautiful experience with this psychic or this medium that was very authentic and real, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also learn how to be a good sitter. Now, I'm part of Forever Family Foundation, which is a nonprofit that helps people in grief, but it's also science-based. And the founder, Bob Ginsberg, wrote a book about how to be like when you go for a reading, like, how to be a good, clean, clear sitter where you're not like feeding into things or giving things away. I think that would be a great way for people to first recognize the need to train themselves before they have this experience. And then I'd say, trust what resonates and what doesn't, and don't ever give away your power. If a psychic tells you something, or, somebody said, and like, you're like, that does not resonate with me, that's not true. It's not, like, reject it. Don't ever let what somebody else says, like, counter what you're feeling about your own life. Readings can be excellent as like kind of a guidebook, or to show you like the possible pathways that are there. And sometimes we might be on a certain pathway and then change course, and that's okay too. There's no wrong path. There's just different lessons. But I think they can be tools to help you navigate your life here. But like, you don't need a psychic. You can just tap into your own abilities to help you navigate your path here too. Like, I think so often we give away our power. I'm the anti-business model. I'm like, nobody needs me. Come to my workshops. I'm happy to show you how to do this yourself. But like, nobody ever needs a reading from me. You're so much more powerful than I am. Once you open your own lines of communication, and when you trust your spiritual self, and when you use your abilities to navigate the world in this way of like unseen energy, right? Magical things, like powerful things happen.
I'm smiling because the other most popular question was, where are our husbands? All of these women are like, where is he? And so I think that you're giving us that answer is like, I think we should do that purge exercise.
Yeah. So here's what I know. Like, when you shift your energy and when you celebrate yourself and celebrate your life, energy is a vibration, right? We're in a state of like almost like need or like panic, like, where's my husband? I need a hug. Like, I want this so badly in my life. And we start getting into that fear stream of energy, like, because what we're really thinking is like, what if this doesn't happen? What if I have to like, blah, blah, blah. Like, we get like into this very negative energy space. Like, it's like a sound vibration. We're going to attract not good things. Like, energy's a lake. At the top, people are water skiing, light, it's beautiful. The bottom, there's like catfish and slimy things. Like, we don't want to go to the bottom. No. The answer to it all is like elevating ourselves, doing things that bring us joy, getting into a creative state, like honoring our light, respecting ourselves, creating boundaries for us, and then creating a manifest of exactly what we want, and then releasing it and surrendering it. I've done readings before where I've seen that somebody's going to get married in 3 years, and I'm like, okay, this person's going to come in, here's their name, but like, they're not here for 3 years, and they're so upset. Like, this, there's like, what do you mean 3 years? Like, they get angry. And then it's because the person was married at the time of the reading to somebody else, needed to get divorced because they're like, that relationship had run its course. They needed to leave. And now they're going to get married to the person I'm speaking to. But like, we have to let linear time here play out. And so I just would say to people, like, trust in it. Trust in like your heart's desires, but don't trust in it in like a needy, panicked way. Trust in it in like, I'm so excited for the universe to bring this to me. And when it shows up, it's going to be wonderful. But I am going to spend so much quality time with myself right now. I am going to become the best version of myself so that when this person arrives, I can recognize that person rather than dismiss them.
Okay, Laura Lynne, I have some rapid fire for you. Okay, I feel most at peace when I'm
cooking in my kitchen.
What's a skill you'd like to hone?
I would like to learn how to like watercolor. I think it's really hard, but I feel like the other side keeps showing me that I'm meant to do what they're calling like spirit paintings with watercolors. And I keep saying like, okay, I can't wait to do this. I have to carve out the time because it's going to be energy that comes through me. And I'm so excited to go on that journey. So I feel like I need to create space for that. I'm really excited for that.
That's very specific. I love that. What's one thing every woman should try once?
Going out to dinner on their own with nobody else there.
Wow. May I ask why?
Yeah. So when I was in my like early 20s, I spent a I spent a semester at Oxford University in England, and I would travel, and I traveled for a month afterwards on my own. And I found that the time that I was in highest connectivity with myself and like drinking in the experiences around me and like getting downloads from my guide, it would be like when I would go out to dinner by myself. So I think spending time alone and seeing that as a beautiful, sacred thing rather than like putting it like with a loneliness category, like can be profound. So for me, it's like, I think going out to dinner, but the answer could be like, do something alone
That's
and
cool.
drink in all your light and all your experiences.
What's a book that changed your life? Something you think everybody should read?
So my favorite book in the world is To Kill a Mockingbird, because I think it showed like the connectivity of all of us and like the goodness and
Wow.
like what we all have to be aware about, like the darkness that is there and like feeding the light within us, right? And then I also, so that's by Harper Lee. And then I also like The Color Purple by Alice Walker. And if you look at the back of the book, she says, author and medium. And she says she thanks everybody for coming. Like the characters came to her and through her, which I found fascinating. But it tells like this beautiful journey of like empowerment and discovery for the main character, Celia. It's just such a powerful work of literature. And then The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which is about a journey a young boy goes on and like that takes him very far. And I don't want to ruin the ending, but it's just magical. And I feel like it's allegorical for all of our journeys here. So those would be the ones I'd recommend. And those all affected me in a very profound way.
Those are great ones. Thank you for that. The last question is always from the Question Everything card deck. I pulled yours right ahead of our interview, and it said, what has been your biggest sacrifice on the path to achievement?
I think time. That's what I would say. I think one of the greatest gifts we have here that we don't recognize is the time we have. Mm-hmm. And I think that knowing that I was called to do this has taken over a lot of time in my life. And not that I don't think that's worthy. I totally think it's worthy. And I'm so enriched and fulfilled by it. But I am fully aware that it is a bit of a sacrifice in knowing I'm going to choose this and to do this rather than all these other things that maybe would be more like joyful or leisurely. Mm-hmm. It's like I'm driven by a purpose and I want to honor that in the right ways. And the way that I honor that is by giving my time.
Well, thank you for sharing your time with us today. I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.